philosophy. I've got a philosophy class right now. Uh, we begin the class by reading works by people who think that life is terrible, people who think it would be better if we had never been born. And I'm there reading these with the students, and I'm saying, all right, everybody, let's find the strongest arguments we can in this book for the conclusion that life is terrible and it would be better if nobody was alive. And sometimes people say, can we not do this? This sounds really depressing. And I say, no, we have to do this. This is what philosophy is all about. Philosophy is about making you think about death and feel sad and stuff. At least partly. Ever since Socrates went around ancient Athens making people feel bad, this has been a big part of what philosophy does. I think it turned out okay for him. So when they asked, let's have some philosophy at this TEDx talk, I thought, all right, I gotta make people feel bad about stuff. What can I pick here? Well, if you go around this university these days, everywhere there's this poster. It's on the screens. It's on the weird little spheres. It says, we're number 400 among universities in the world. We've gone up since last time. Last time it was 500 and now it's 400. Next time, maybe 300. We're on the way to being one of the best universities in the world. So I think, all right, I gotta ruin this somehow. Philosophy needs to make you feel bad about this. How can I do it? Okay, step one. What is a university? What's it for? The number one university in the world right now is Oxford in England. And it just so happens that the leader of Oxford, his name is Lord Hague. No, Lord William, Baron of Hague. They have cool names in England. The leader of Oxford recently gave a speech saying what a university is all about. This is what we are 400th best at. He says the concern of a university is that opinions are reached on the basis of truth, knowledge, and reason, and stuff like that. Okay, that's what a university is for. Reaching opinions. Around here, we reach our opinions on the basis of truth, knowledge, and reason. Okay, I've got to somehow make it seem like that's being 400th best at that is like being the 400th tallest person in Kazakhstan or something. It's like, whatever. Let me try. So here's a first idea. I was in Istanbul 2 weeks ago talking about philosophy. There was a philosophy discussion going on, and I was talking mostly about knowledge and how to get it. And then somebody started yelling at me, who cares about knowledge? Let me tell you what's important in life. Art, family, love. The love of one's country. These kinds of things. And he says, none of that has almost anything to do with knowledge. Like, if your kid says, when I grow up, I want to be a great violinist. And what you're going to say is, yes, you can do it. I believe in you. Is that knowledge? No. If you were going to base your opinion on knowledge, you would have to think, you're probably not going to make it. I mean, most people don't. So when you look at these huge parts of life, it looks like basing your opinion on knowledge is a mistake. So why would a university be like a big deal if around there they base their opinions on knowledge all the time? Okay, I don't think this is going to make anybody feel bad because it's pretty clear what the answer is. You have to split your life. You have to realize there's two parts to life. Yeah, art and family and country and all that stuff is really important. But there is a part of life, maybe it's small, maybe it's big, but there's a part where basing your opinions on knowledge really does matter. And you can think about, if your doctor was giving you medicine, oh yes, this medicine is going to cure you. And the reason that the doctor believes that is because their little kid made up this medicine, and I really believe in you, kid, so yeah. That's not what you want. You want your doctor to be basing their opinions on real science and knowledge and stuff. So, okay, here's where we've got to. There's a part of your life where knowledge is maybe not that big a deal, but there's another part where it is a big deal, and that's what a university is for. We at the university, everybody's trying to base their opinions on truth, reason, and knowledge, and then we can take what they discover and use it when we need it. Okay, here's a more serious try to make it seem like this is a mistake. Okay. I'm from Canada, and when we grew up in Canada, we learned things about the first Prime Minister of Canada, John A. Macdonald. What we learned was that he was terrible. We learned that he accepted bribes, he was a racist, he paid people to beat up his opponents, he was so drunk most of the time that he vomited during a debate. And then I think somebody was like, John A. Macdonald, now really? And he said something like, well, my opponent's ideas are so bad, I just had to. But no, it's because he was drunk. Okay, imagine I'm at a Canadian university, and of course everybody knows John A. Macdonald was terrible, but I'm talking to a historian there, and she tells me, hey, did you know that John A. Macdonald was actually awesome? You're like, really? Like, yeah. And then I'm thinking, wait a minute, are you doing what you're supposed to at a university, or are you messing it up? So I say, all right, is that opinion based on knowledge, though? Why do you think he was awesome? And she says, well, here's the thing. I discovered all these letters. There are these letters out there between newspaper people and political opponents of John A. Macdonald and just like his enemies. And they're like, let's spread rumors. Let's have a conspiracy where we tell everybody that John A. Macdonald is really terrible. So that's why I believe he was actually great. And I would think, I see. This looks perfect. The opinion, John A. Macdonald is fine, based on knowledge. There are letters that say we're going to spread rumors about him and have a conspiracy to make him look bad, but actually he's great. Okay, that's what a university is supposed to do. He's doing it right. But then I have one more question. I say, okay, but yeah, how do you know there are these letters exactly? Well, your opinion that these letters exist, where did that come from? And imagine she says, oh, nowhere in particular, just vibes. Then I would think, wait a minute, that's not right. Or maybe she says something like, a country as good as Canada could never have a terrible prime minister. And then she starts singing the national anthem of Canada. Oh, Canada. I would think, aha, this isn't what you're supposed to do at a university. You've based your opinion not on knowledge, but on your love of country or something. Here's the problem. It looks like her opinion that John A. Macdonald was fine, it looked good when I saw that it was based on these letters, but I had to ask one more question. What's that based on? And when that turned out to be based on nothing good, then the whole thing collapses. Her opinion that John A. Macdonald is actually okay is no good. It's not based on knowledge after all. Maybe you can see where this is going. Now let's suppose she had a better answer. I saw the letters. Well, it seems like to know, if I'm going to know that she's doing it right, I've got to be like, okay, yeah, you think you saw the letters, but why do you think that? Letters can be forged, your eyes can play tricks on you, you can dream something, so yeah, how do you know any of that stuff didn't happen? Maybe she's got a good answer, but the problem is clear. In order for this to be based on knowledge, it's got to be based on something that's based on knowledge, and that's got to be based on, and it's just going to go on forever. And we can't go on forever because we are human. We don't have that much time. We don't have that much space in our brains. We can't go on forever. So this is looking like a problem. Basing opinions on knowledge is actually not possible for us. So if there are universities and barons who are saying, around here we base all our opinions on knowledge, I mean, a university is just a place where they pretend to base their opinions on knowledge. They think they do, but really, at some level, it's just vibes, or it's, anyway, something undefended, something that's not okay. Philosophy is not really about making people feel bad. I mean, it is, but that's not the main goal. You want people to feel bad only so that then they can, well, think about it this way. What happens in that class where we read about why life is maybe terrible and it would be better off if none of us were ever born, we see what is wrong with these ideas. We find them in their strongest form, and then we talk about them, and we uncover a problem. Philosophy is really about facing the darkness in its strongest form and defeating it. You find a problem with it. And when you do that, number one, the next time you see those ideas, because a lot of the time you'll see them in some form in your life, the next time you see them, you can recognize them and you know what's wrong with them. But the other thing is, when you do that, you understand better You know, why life is actually good or whatever it is. You learn something, you understand something better. That's really what this is about. The real trick here is, can we find something wrong with that argument I gave where you've got to go down and down? Because if we can, we might learn something important about like knowledge and why it's good and stuff. Why a university is really a pretty great place. Well, I don't really have the answer. When philosophers find the answers to things, they usually don't call them philosophy anymore. They usually say, that's the science now. So it wouldn't be philosophy if I really had the answer, but here's an idea. Picture your favorite sense. Maybe it's seeing. Seeing is very popular. Now, imagine you were never gonna see again. You're gonna go through life without seeing. You would think, well, people do it. People can go through life with touching and hearing. There are other senses. But what if you lost hearing? What if you lost touch? What if you lost them all? If you had to go through life with no senses at all, I can't even imagine what your life would be like. What would you even do? I mean, you would have, maybe you would have this super rich inner world where you think all kinds of interesting things. Could be. I just have no idea. I can't imagine. It would be so different from all the human lives that we know. This makes me think there is something special about perception, about using the senses to investigate the world. Doing that is central to, it looks like, living a human life. It's central to being human. If that's true, maybe that gives it a special status when we're thinking about how knowledge works. Maybe that means that John A. MacDonald is fine, these letters are there, blah, 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 but once you reach something like, my senses work, I can trust my eyes, maybe you don't have to go down any further. Maybe this is the absolute bottom of knowledge. Not because you know it. You don't know it. You don't have any knowledge that it's based on. You don't have any knowledge that you rely on when you trust your senses. You just trust your senses because that is part of what it is to be human. But, all our knowledge is human knowledge anyway. So maybe that's okay. So here's an answer. It's like, to be based on knowledge, something either has to be based on knowledge, which is based on knowledge, which is based on knowledge, but at the end, you reach trusting being human. And that's fine. And all the other things count as real knowledge if they're based on that rock of what it is to be human. Aristotle said something like this. I mean, yeah, I think it's an interesting idea. The reason why I'm really interested in it, this is really the last thought I have. I'm interested in this because of that thing about how once you face the argument and you face the dark problems, you understand something a little bit better. I think if this is how knowledge really works, if this is how basing opinions on knowledge really works, if somehow it's all mixed up with being human and anything which is essential to being human, you can rely on, the thing it makes me think is, well, that's not how I normally think about knowledge. And it might make a problem for that thing we did at the start, where we said, okay, we're going to separate parts of our lives. Over here we have love and friendship and family and things like that. And over here we have knowledge, and they're just different, and they matter in different parts of life. Because I think trusting your friends, that might be part of being human. We're social creatures. That's part of what it is to be human. Maybe. Certain kinds of love might be essential to being human. And if so, they too might be able to form some kind of bedrock for knowledge. That's what's interesting to me about this. It's going to take a lot to work out whether it's really true. Maybe you could help with it if you ever do any philosophy. That's what I got.